David Smoke with Paul Catalina. This is 365 Sports on YouTube, Twitter, what is it called? Instagram, and also TikTok. We appreciate your time. Joseph Duarte on the Cougars, Houston Cougars, Kelvin Sampson, Stephen Wiseman of the News and Observer joins us on 365 Sports. Stephen, good to see you, man. How you been? Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm doing well. A little lacking in sleep, a lot of late games.
Yeah.
I feel Joseph's pain doing these things from airports. I happen to be home. I got an early flight home yesterday from Newark, but I'll be heading out to San Antonio in a couple of days. So that's March, baby. We're right back and forth to the airport.
Yeah, and San Antonio will do a great job of hosting the Final Four. So it's a rubber stamp. All four number ones. Duke has just like rolled through a lot of different people. I know they've been tested a little bit, but why, in your opinion, are they in the Final Four? What are some things other than the obvious?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Cooper Flagg, the best player, one of the best 2 or 3 players in the country, really helps. But more so, it's the collective nature of their play, the way they bought into defense, and the foundation that Jon Scheyer built in the summer in that area. They've been a terrific defensive team all year. They've rarely had, a moment where they haven't played great defense. The second half against Arizona is one of those few. They had a 19-point lead. They got down to, 6 or 5 or whatever it was, and they ended up winning it in double digits, or by 7. But mostly they've been really a lockdown defensive team. And it just goes to the type of roster he built in the offseason when he kind of tore down last year's Elite 8 roster and coming in. And so, defense, we said it early in the year, this defense is going to travel no matter where they go. They're going to have a chance to beat just by the way they play. And that's been the case. They're 35-3.
Stephen, they've only lost one ACC game. Like they in Houston are very similar in the fact that they've only lost twice between the two of them in the last months, right? I mean, they just don't lose. What was it about? I know that the ACC was not the wrecking ball that it has been in the past, but what is it about this team to not have – even great teams have bad nights? I mean, Auburn's had some bad nights. Florida's had some bad nights. Duke and Houston just don't really have bad nights.
They have great coaching first, but they're also the internal leadership on the team among the players to come out and take care of business every night and not, the term play with your food, right? They don't come out and mess around.
Yeah.
They get out, they get it done. And, they haven't trailed at halftime just a handful of times this year. They just don't mess around. They come out and they take care of things. And yeah, you have a night where you don't shoot well. That's going to happen. Like Houston's one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. I know along the way, I haven't looked at every box score, but I'm sure there's a night they didn't shoot 40% from 3-point, right? But they still won because they have other things they can do. They can play great defense. They don't turn the ball over. They just have a togetherness and almost a professionalism about the way they do things. And I've covered Duke for 15 years now, so I've seen great teams come along, but this one has that little edge that's different than because they just come out and hammer people and don't leave any doubt and kind of steal their souls kind of thing,
So Cooper Flagg is not only perhaps the best player in the country. He's in that discussion. It's a very, very short list, but he also does have a toughness about him. He's not soft at all. He'll every once in a while make a play and then kind of like that flex a little bit. Has he always, and you only watched him for like this year, but has he ever had to battle people beating him up along the way, or is that pretty much who he's been from the start?
Oh no, he's had to take some hits and learn how to deal with it. And it was early on this season. They lost a tight game to Kentucky in Atlanta in the Champions Classic in mid-November. And Cooper had a couple turnovers down the stretch. He just got out muscled for the ball. He slipped, he bounced the ball off his foot, that kind of thing, They played Auburn at Cameron Indoor Stadium, another very physical team. So they won that game. They lost the game to Kansas on the road or in Vegas, neutral court. But that was another game where it was an older team that was more physical that kind of pushed Cooper and the team around. And I know you asked specifically about Cooper, but he's kind of the head of the snake here, right? So if you can get him off his game, you can kind of get Duke off a little bit. But people have challenged him and tested him. And it was like midway through the season, maybe in January, he had like a breakaway dunk against Pitt. And I think that replay has been shown over and over again where he posterized the guy, and we all were kind of like, whoa, where did that come from? Like, okay, somebody flipped a switch in this guy. Like and from that point forward, that flex thing he would do, and he'd be like, I think I wrote the next day, like, you don't want to see Cooper when he's angry. Apparently he's angry. You don't want to see that. So he's had to learn that toughness. And it kind of goes back to it real quick. I'll tell you this part of it. When he worked last summer with the NBA team, the Olympic team, and he was part of the select team practicing against them. And he was out there in Vegas for 2 days. And the first day he was kind of tentative. He was I wasn't there, but I talked to people that were, Coach Scheyer and others. And it was like, okay, he was kind of feeling his way. He was a 17-year-old kid playing with these guys, LeBron James and everybody. But then the next day, he was like, okay, I'm here. I can do this. I'm supposed to be here. And then he went out, and there's highlight reels all around YouTube with all the things he did in practice that day, blocking Anthony Davis and all kind of stuff like that. So anyway, he's got that in him. He has to kind of get used to it. But once he does, man, he can flip that switch pretty quickly.
What is it about Jon Scheyer that allowed him to not be the guy who follows the guy and get eaten up by the moment? Because, I mean, he's an outlier, because usually the guy who follows the guy gets swallowed up.
Ticket Club is a unique platform that aims to revolutionize the way consumers purchase event tickets. It primarily functions as a membership-based ticketing platform, offering a wide array of tickets to concerts, sporting events, theater shows, and other live entertainment events. The main distinction of Ticket Club from other ticketing platforms is its commitment to delivering tickets with no service fees. Features and benefits of Ticket Club. One of the most distinctive features of Ticket Club is the absence of service fees. Most ticketing platforms charge service fees, which can elevate the cost of the ticket significantly. However, with Ticket Club, the price you see is the price you pay. This translates to substantial savings, especially for frequent ticket buyers. Ticket Club also offers a diverse selection of event tickets. From Broadway shows and music concerts to NFL games and comedy shows, Ticket Club has it all. This diversity makes it an ideal ticketing platform for all entertainment lovers. Reliability and pricing. When it comes to reliability, Ticket Club does not disappoint. The platform guarantees the delivery of authentic tickets on time for the event. In the rare case that a problem arises, the company promises to refund 100% of the purchase price. Ticket Club operates on a membership basis. Non-members can still purchase tickets, but they are subject to small service fees. To enjoy the no service fees benefit, one can join as a member at a fee of $49.99 per year. However, certain groups, such as military personnel and first responders, can receive free memberships as a thank you for their service. Customer support. Customer support is a critical aspect of any business, and Ticket Club excels in this area. The platform provides comprehensive customer support to ensure all queries and issues are handled in a timely and professional manner. Customers can reach out via phone or email, and the Help Center on their website offers answers to frequently asked questions. Unique features and benefits. In addition to the no service fees feature, Ticket Club has a unique feature called the Ticket Club Premier program. This allows members to earn points on their purchases, which can be redeemed for discounts on future purchases. This feature adds to the overall value provided by the platform and encourages customer loyalty. In conclusion, the introduction to Ticket Club reveals a platform that is designed with the customer in mind. The no service fees policy, diverse event selection, reliability, competitive pricing, and excellent customer support make Ticket Club an appealing choice for purchasing event tickets. Whether you're a sports fanatic, a theater enthusiast, or a concert goer, Ticket Club is your reliable partner for event tickets.
Absolutely. And in fact, I just posted a story on our newsobserver.com, our website. I had a chat with Coach K this morning about this very thing, and he hasn't talked about it very often. He has stayed away, but it was time with him getting to the Final Four for him to kind of say, what he liked about what Jon did. And Jon took from different people and implemented that in his coaching style. He's not Coach K, and Coach K told him, you can't be me. You have to be Jon Scheyer, and he's done that. He's owned who he is, and he's gotten smarter along the way, as you should, with experience and being a head coach. He's a better coach now than he was that first season. I know I was there at every game that year, and I know they went 27-9. They won the ACC, but they got punked by Tennessee in the second round of the tournament. They got beat up. They were out physical, and this team, that won't happen to, because Jon's gotten better at roster building, at knowing the modern game and being able to analyze and see that last year's team, while they beat Houston, thanks to an injury in the Sweet 16, they didn't have enough to get by NC State in the Elite Eight. And so he had to get older guys, more physical players to go with these great freshmen. He learned from a mistake from last year's roster. And that to me is like the greatest lesson that Jon Scheyer has learned and is putting into play is to learn on the fly, to be open to change and to just be himself and make the decisions he thinks need to be made. He went out on a limb last year when he ran off guys, like Jeremy Roach, who ended up at Baylor. He could have come back to Duke and he didn't come back. But he was confident enough to do that. And now look how it's worked.
Jeremy Roach to Baylor. And when I saw that, again, sometimes we don't know the inside stories. And there were times this year where I think he wanted to, he wanted to be the point guard. And that wasn't really his role. And then they had the young freshman that came in and had some big games, but inconsistent. So was Jeremy someone that created a problem? Was it a chemistry issue, or it was just time to move on?
It was just time to move on. And they needed, Tyrese Proctor had grown into that role. He and Jeremy played together 2 years. Jeremy was part of a Final Four team, Coach K's last season. Jon Scheyer knew Jeremy from high school. He recruited him. They are still very close. They are friends. There's no animosity between them. They just both realized, with the people that Duke had coming in, it wasn't that Jeremy was going to get the playing time he got because they might be better, right? And there's no promises. And they had to get that chemistry figured out with the point guard situation. So there was obviously in this day and age, there's money available at other places for a player like Jeremy Roach. He did very well at Baylor. He had a good season. They made the tournament, all that stuff. So it worked out. It was really odd when they played each other. I have to say, for everybody, that was odd.
We're talking to Stephen Wiseman, the News and Observer. I'm sorry, Stephen. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. That was odd when they played each other, but it worked out. It worked out, I think, and it was just time. It was time for Jeremy. His fifth year. It was time for him to play somewhere else. From
the chat room, from Kyle Visser. He's a Houston fan, I believe. Kyle A&M or Houston. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Ask Stephen if the Duke's youth has showed up recently, or does he feel it's gone? In other words, have the young kid, you hear about by the end of the year, my God, they've played almost 40 games. They're no longer freshmen anymore.
Yeah, I think it's gone. I think the last time we saw it to Clemson down there, and that was February the 8th. We talk about how these teams haven't lost in forever, and that was the last time Duke lost. It could have showed up, and I expected it to show up in the ACC tournament when Cooper Flagg got hurt with a sprained ankle, and Malik Brown went out with a dislocated shoulder. They didn't need to win that tournament. They were going to be a number one seed anyway. And so then you've got these two, parts of your rotation, your best player unavailable. And that would have been a time when, they would have splintered, or the youth would have showed up again. And it didn't. They went out and beat Carolina. They had a 25-point lead early and then had to hold on for dear life to win that, but they got it done. And then they came out and took care of business against Louisville the next night. And to me, that told me that, okay, these guys have grown beyond that part of their maturation process. They're beyond the we're freshmen thing. And it could show up again this Saturday night in the Final Four. That's another big area, but I doubt it because they got through that other thing. I think they'll get through this too.
When Duke is in a Final Four, what is Durham like compared to when it's not? Because it feels to me that most fans think that this is where the season should be, no matter what happens. All 10 players could get hurt. They'd be like, no, they're fine. We should be in the Final Four. Is there a buzz, or is this fait accompli to them?
Well, there's a buzz this time because it's the first time Scheyer's done it. And everybody thought, okay, this is the right guy. Coach K thinks he's the right guy. But until he does it, you don't know. And so they were good the last 2 years, but they needed to get here to kind of justify what they did. So that creates the buzz. And now they're so good that it feels like, they want that sixth championship, and this feels like a team that could certainly do it. So, there's a lot of disappointment when they don't make it. And another part of that in our neighborhood is when Duke doesn't make it, one of the other neighbor schools probably does. Like last year, NC State made it. Carolina usually makes it. It's usually one of these three. Somebody's in it, right? So that adds extra salt on the wound. Like, you're not only not there, your buddy in the cubicle next to you at work, his team's there, and I got to hear about him from him. So That's just the way we live over here in this part of the world. So yeah, it's different.
So sweet around Tobacco Road, but it is unbelievable that group of teams. So it's obvious that the one team that Duke doesn't want in the Final Four, if they're not there, is North Carolina, right? Is it?
Yes.
All right. How would you rank, let's say, the 5 around Tobacco Row or that area that Duke would be miserable if they weren't in it and those other teams were?
Oh, on a scale of 1 to 5, and those guys are in it? It's
Yeah,
a
North
5.
Carolina would be 1.
Yeah.
Like, that would be 1. Who would be 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 if you don't mind?
Let's see. Other teams like NC State would be next.
Yep.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely that. And then there's teams outside
Yeah, they don't have to be in Tobacco Row. Just
I got
teams.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, Kentucky.
All right.
Kentucky's at probably had NC State until last year, but Kentucky. There's a pretty good Duke Kentucky rivalry for sure. And then maybe Kansas because they're another blue blood. That kind of thing. After that, I probably UConn, I would say, because UConn's beaten Duke a couple times in the Final Four on the way to their championships, and they have 6 titles now, and Duke has 5. They've passed Duke, so Duke certainly wants to catch up to UConn.
It is amazing. I remember in the days of the late 70s when Duke started to kind of like get something going, right? They were starting to – they just weren't good enough. I forgot who it was that was there. They went to a Final Four. They just weren't good enough. But where they are now, Paul's wife is a KU grad, and I asked her, and I don't know if you ever asked her back, but I said, if you're a KU fan, is it miserable watching Duke be this good when they, of course, melted down quickly? And blue bloods don't like each other. I mean, that's why they're rivalry, right? You don't want Kentucky to be winning if you're KU or Duke if you're, I get that. The imprint of this program, if they're in the Final Four, there's a standard. What was the minimum requirement of this team, even though they were young, although they had the stud and Flagg? Scheyer's, third year, whatever. What was the minimum requirement for make this an acceptable and successful season?
It was getting to the Final Four.
Okay.
This year it was that because he had won the ACC his first year, and they lost in the second round. And that year, that was good. Like, okay, first year without Coach K, they won the ACC. All right, that's what's supposed to happen. There was disappointment with the loss, but it was okay. Last year, they got to the Elite Eight, got a little closer, but then lost to NC State, which was really rough. So they needed to break through and get to the Final Four to really validate that Jon Scheyer was the guy.
Yep. Stephen, thank you. Enjoy San Antonio. Appreciate your time. Have a great week, and thanks for jumping on with us. I know it's been a whirlwind when you travel with the tournament. Half the time you kind of know, but you don't know if you're going to be there for 1 day or for 4. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. I can't wait to get down there.
Stephen Wiseman, the News and Observer.